The girl was having a wedding with the man she loved, but unexpectedly, the pouch her grandmother left behind told her to run for her life. Seeing this, the girl was terrified. She didn't understand who wanted to harm her at the wedding, but she firmly believed her grandmother's pouch couldn't be wrong. After all, that pouch had saved her life before. It turned out the girl's grandmother was a well-known witch in the village. She could not only predict life and death, but also help people avoid danger, and her predictions were always accurate, never wrong. On the day before her grandmother passed away, who had never given the family any fortune advice, suddenly told the girl that her fate would be rough. She would face 3 life-threatening disasters in her life. As she said this, she took out 3 pouches. She intended to use them to help the girl survive. She instructed the girl that the first pouch had to be handed to the 50th person to light incense at her funeral. The second pouch had to be opened on the day of the girl's wedding. These words made the girl's mother very angry. She thought the grandmother was talking nonsense. Her daughter was perfectly fine. How could she have such misfortune? She even advised the girl not to listen to her grandmother, but the girl deeply believed her grandmother. Because she had been raised by her grandmother, she had a special bond with her. That's why she trusted her unconditionally. So at her grandmother's funeral, she waited anxiously for the 50th person to offer incense. But the funeral was almost over, and that person still hadn't shown up. Just as her mother was about to tear down the altar, a mysterious person suddenly appeared. In the girl's frightened gaze, the mysterious person finished the incense and prepared to leave, but was suddenly stopped by the girl. She nervously walked up to the mysterious person and handed over the pouch her grandmother had left. To her surprise, the person ran away in fear after reading the contents. The girl was completely confused. When she picked up the paper from the ground, she was shocked. It was full of names. All of them were people who had been killed by a murderer. Her mother thought the girl was overreacting, but when she saw her daughter's name on the list, she instantly lost her composure. She didn't understand why the girl's grandmother had left behind these names, or why that man would run after seeing them. It wasn't until then that the girl realized the mysterious person was the killer. He had come to the funeral to scout things out, so he could commit the crime that night. The relatives nearby, after hearing this, immediately felt the girl's grandmother was truly magical. Otherwise, the girl would have already been dead, but even so, the girl was still worried the man would come back for her. So she begged her mother to take her back to the city, but her mother didn't take it seriously. She thought it was all just a coincidence. No matter how much the girl pleaded, her mother refused to take her away. Instead, she panicked and left in a hurry, leaving the girl all alone. Late at night, the girl curled up in bed, too scared to sleep. She held onto her grandmother's portrait, praying for her grandmother's protection. But just then, she heard noises from outside. She got up to check and found the front door had been opened at some point, and there were sounds of someone picking a lock. The girl was terrified. She was sure the killer had come back for her. At that moment, all she could do was try to save herself, so she quickly locked her bedroom door, then threw a glass cup out the window, then hid under the bed. The killer upstairs heard the noise and quickly came to the girl's room. He walked straight to the window. The girl was so scared she didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Luckily, the killer just crouched down to tie his shoelace and left soon after. The girl thought she was safe, so she quietly crawled out from under the bed to check outside. But as soon as she stepped out, the killer grabbed her and began to harm her. The girl cried out in despair, but it was raining heavily outside and no one else was around. No matter how loud she screamed, no one would come to save her. Just when the girl had lost all hope, 2 police officers suddenly burst in and immediately restrained the killer. Then, they told the girl that they had received an emergency text. That's why they were patrolling this area. They hadn't expected to save the girl just in time. They thought the girl was extremely lucky, but the girl knew that it was all her grandmother's arrangement. After this incident, the girl finally moved to her stepfather's home in the city. They made her live on the balcony and treated her like she was invisible. Even her 6-year-old brother often pointed at her and called her useless, even told her to get out of the house. But the girl didn't mind. Even though no one loved her, she felt protected by her grandmother's love. Until 6 years later, a man who loved her just like her grandmother appeared. He led the girl out of the darkness. The girl thought she had finally found her home in life, but little did she know, this was her second life-threatening disaster. With the wedding about to begin, the girl became even more anxious. She didn't know who wanted to harm her this time, but she followed her grandmother's words in her heart. She left everyone behind and ran out alone. Soon, the girl arrived at a remote alley, facing the urging of her mother and fiancé. The girl became very emotional. At that moment, she didn't even know what she was doing, why she had to run away from the fiancé who truly loved her. In the middle of repeated breakdowns, she tried her best to stay calm. Since her grandmother told her to flee the wedding, the person trying to harm her had to be at the wedding. So the urgent task was to find out who wanted to kill her. Soon, she thought of her stepfather, because he had recently racked up $300,000 in gambling debts, and had insisted on borrowing money from her. The girl refused, so he threatened to stop her from getting married, and she didn't see her stepfather at the wedding today, so she was convinced he was the killer. So she rushed back home in a panic. She asked her mother where her stepfather had gone, and told her everything that had happened, but her mother lied after hearing the story. Seeing this, the girl had no choice but to threaten to call the police, but what her mother said next completely shocked her.